when humanity answered the call. The research vessel. Stellar Dawn shuddered violently as another plasma bolt struck its starboard shields. Captain Vira Kessian gripped the command chair's armrests, her knuckles white against her pale blue skin. The bridge lights flickered ominously as the ship's defensive system struggled against the relentless assault. "Shield integrity down to 37%, shouted Lieutenant Jorik from his station, his usually calm demeanor cracking under pressure. Sparks flew from damaged consoles around the bridge as the Zephyrian crew fought to keep their vessel operational. Through the main viewport, Vira could see their attackers. Sleek, predatory ships with hulls that seemed to absorb light itself. They moved with calculated precision, herding the stellar dawn like wolves surrounding wounded prey. The raiders had appeared without warning, dropping out of hyperspace to surround the peaceful research vessel before anyone could react. "Status on our distress beacon?" Vera demanded, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. "Broadcasting on all emergency frequencies, Captain," replied Communications Officer Thane, his six-fingered hands dancing across his console. "But we're in the outer spiral territories. The nearest collective patrol is at least 6 cycles away." Another impact sent several crew members sprawling. Dr. Zen Aralvis, the expedition's lead xenobiologist, pulled himself up from where he'd fallen near the science station. His breathing apparatus, necessary for his methane-based physiology, had been damaged in the fall, and he struggled to seal the leak. "Captain," he wheezed, "the cultural samples from Kepler 442b are in the cargo bay. If these pirates are after our research data, they won't get it." Vira cut him off grimly. She had spent 3 years leading this expedition, documenting previously unknown microbial life forms that could revolutionize medicine across a dozen species. The thought of such knowledge falling into the hands of raiders made her stomach turn. "Jorik, can we make a run for the asteroid field?" "Negative, Captain. They've got us boxed in and our engines are running at 60% efficiency after that last hit to the rear section." The lead raider vessel opened fire again, this time targeting the Stellar Dawn's communication array. The blast sent a cascade of sparks across the bridge, and for a moment, the distress beacon went silent. "No!" Thane cried out, working frantically to restore power to the comm system. "I've got partial communications back, but the long-range transmitter is badly damaged." Vera closed her eyes briefly, saying a silent prayer to the ancient Zephyrian ancestors. When she opened them again, her resolve had hardened. "Continue broadcasting on all frequencies. If we're going to die out here, at least someone will know what happened to us." 3 systems away, Captain Marcus Webb was nursing his 3rd cup of coffee in the command center of the Earth defense ship Thunderstrike when the distress signal reached them. The massive destroyer, one of humanity's newest and most advanced warships, had been conducting routine patrols along the edge of human-controlled space. "Sir, we're picking up an emergency transmission," announced Ensign Torres from the communications station. "It's unusual. The language doesn't match anything in our databases, but the AI is working on a translation." Webb, a veteran of humanity's first contact wars, set down his coffee and moved to look over Torres's shoulder. At 45, he had the weathered appearance of someone who had seen too much combat, but his dark eyes still held the sharp intelligence that had earned him command of one of Earth's most powerful ships. "How long until we have something we can understand?" Webb asked. "The AI is cross-referencing linguistic patterns now, sir. Given the mathematical constants and universal scientific principles embedded in the message." "Got it." Torres's eyes widened as the translation appeared on his screen. "Sir, they're calling themselves the Zephyrian Collective. They're a research vessel under attack by unknown hostiles. They're requesting immediate assistance from any vessel capable of providing aid." Webb read the translated message, his expression growing more serious with each line. "Location? Approximately 4 light-years from our current position, sir. At maximum burn, we could reach them in just over 2 hours." The captain was quiet for a moment, weighing his options. His orders were clear: patrol the designated sectors, and avoid contact with unknown alien species without explicit authorization from Earth Command. But those orders had been written by people who had never heard a desperate plea for help echoing across the void of space. Mr. Rodriguez, Webby, called to his navigation officer. Plot a course for that signal's origin point. Maximum burn. Sir, interrupted Commander Patricia Vale, his first officer. Our orders specifically state— I know what our orders state, Commander, Webb replied, his voice carrying the authority of absolute command. But I also know what's right. Signal the Stormfront and Nightfall to form up with us. If someone's attacking civilians, they're about to learn why humans don't make good enemies. The bridge crew exchanged glances. They all knew the stories of humanity's rise from their single planet to become one of the most formidable military powers in their local stellar region. In just 2 decades since achieving faster-than-light travel, humans had fought off 3 different aggressive species and established themselves as a force to be respected or feared. Aye, sir, Rodriguez responded, his fingers already working to input the new course. The other ships are acknowledging and moving to formation. As the 3 human warships adjusted their trajectory and accelerated toward the distant distress signal, Webb studied the tactical display. The Thunderstrike, Stormfront, and Nightfall represented the cutting edge of human military technology. Ships designed by a species that had spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare on their Deathworld home. Sir, Torres called out, we're still receiving the distress signal, but it's getting weaker. I think their transmission equipment is being damaged. Webb's jaw tightened. How long until we reach them? 1 hour, 53 minutes at current speed, sir. Not fast enough, Webb muttered. He turned to his chief engineer over the intercom. Chief Nakamura, I need everything you can give me. I don't care if you have to reroute power from life support. We need more speed. The reply came back immediately. You'll have it, Captain, but I can't guarantee the engines will be happy about it. The engines can complain later. Do it. As the human fleet pushed their ships beyond recommended parameters, racing toward you, an unknown situation to help a species they'd never encountered, Webb couldn't help but think about how this moment might change everything. Humanity had always been cautious about first contact scenarios, but something about that desperate plea had struck a chord that transcended species barriers. Back aboard the Stellar Dawn, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The raiders had stopped their bombardment, instead moving closer to attempt what appeared to be a boarding action. Fira watched in horror as grappling ships extended from the lead raider vessel. They're trying to board us, Dr. Aralvis observed, his damaged breathing apparatus making his voice sound mechanical. Perhaps they want our research intact. Over. My dead body, Vira replied grimly. Jorik armed the self-destruct sequence. Authorization Kessian 77 Alpha. Captain, no, Thane protested. There might still be hope. Our distress signal is still broadcasting. Someone might— No one is coming, Vira said quietly. We're too far from civilized space. At least this way, our research doesn't fall into the wrong hands. But even as she spoke the words, a part of her continued to hope that somehow, somewhere, someone had heard their call and was racing to their aid. It was a fool's hope, she knew, but it was all they had left. The first raider grappling ship made contact with their hull, and Vira could hear the distinct sound of cutting tools beginning to breach their outer airlock. Time was running out, and the unknown rescuers, if any existed, were still nowhere to be seen. When humanity answered the call, the 3 human warships dropped out of hyperspace with a violence that sent shockwaves rippling through local spacetime. Captain Marcus Webb's eyes immediately locked onto the tactical display as the Thunderstrikes. Sensors painted a grim picture. 7 raider vessels surrounding a heavily damaged research ship, with boarding operations already in progress. Sir, the civilian vessel is barely holding together, reported Lieutenant Commander Hayes from the tactical station. Their shields are completely down, and I'm detecting hull breaches on multiple decks. Webb's expression hardened as he watched, the predatory raiders swarming around their prey like carrion feeders. Weapon status? All batteries charged and ready, sir. Target locks acquired on all hostile vessels. Commander Vale, signal the Stormfront and Nightfall. Attack pattern, Delta 7. I want those raiders to understand they've made a very serious mistake. Aboard the Stellar Dawn, Captain Vira Kessian felt the ship shudder as the raiders' cutting beams finally breached the outer airlock. Alarms wailed throughout the vessel as hostile atmosphere began mixing with their own. She had her hand poised over the self-destruct authorization when Thane suddenly cried out from his damaged communication station. "Captain, 3 massive energy signatures just dropped out of hyperspace. Unknown configuration, but they're enormous." Before Vera could respond, the lead raider vessel that had been boring into their hull suddenly exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Then another. The Stellar Dawn's bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the unknown newcomers systematically dismantled the raider fleet with weapons of terrifying efficiency. "By the ancestors," whispered Dr. Oralvis, his breathing apparatus hissing. "What kind of weapons are those?" The answer came in the form of coherent energy beams that sliced through raider shields and armor like they were made of paper. The human ships moved with predatory grace, their targeting systems guided by artificial intelligences that had been honed through decades of warfare. Within minutes, 5 of the 7 raider vessels had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris. The remaining 2 raiders, recognizing the hopelessness of their situation, attempted to flee. They didn't make it far. The human ships pursued with ruthless efficiency, their weapons reaching out across impossible distances to eliminate the threat entirely. When the battle was over, an uncomfortable silence filled the comm channels. Then, a voice spoke in accented, but understandable Galactic standard. "Unknown research vessel, this is Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth defense ship Thunderstrike. Please respond if you are able to receive this transmission." Vyra found her voice, though it trembled slightly. This is Captain Vyra Kessian of the Zephyrian research vessel Stellar Dawn. We cannot express our gratitude. You saved our lives." "We received your distress call, Captain Kessian. What's your status? Do you need medical assistance or emergency supplies?" Thane was working frantically at his station, trying to gather sensor data on their rescuers. What he found made his breathing apparatus fog with shock. "Captain," he whispered, "their ships, they're massive. The lead vessel alone is twice the size of a collective battlecruiser, and the energy readings from their weapons systems." "Are you injured?" Webb's voice came again, gentler now. "We have medical facilities aboard our ships if needed." "We have wounded but nothing critical," Vyra replied, still staring at the tactical display showing the 3 human warships. "May I ask, what species are you? We have no record of your vessels or technology in our databases. We're humans from a planet called Earth. We're relatively new to interstellar travel, but we couldn't ignore a call for help." Dr. Oralvis moved closer to the communication station, his scientific curiosity overriding his shock. "Humans from Earth? We've never encountered your species before. Your intervention was remarkably effective. Those raiders have been plaguing this sector for months. No one has been able to stop them." There was a pause before Webb responded. "We don't take kindly to bullies, Doctor. Mind if I ask what kind of research you were conducting out here? This is pretty far from any civilized systems." "We're xenobiologists studying extremophile organisms," Dr. Oralvis explained, his voice gaining enthusiasm despite their recent ordeal. "The worlds in this region have unique atmospheric conditions that have produced fascinating evolutionary adaptations. We've discovered microorganisms that could revolutionize medicine across multiple species." "That's exactly the kind of work that should be protected," Webb replied firmly. "Captain Kessian, would you be willing to accept an escort back to safer space? We'd hate for you to run into more trouble." Vyra exchanged glances with her crew. The offer was generous, but she had to ask the question that was burning in everyone's mind. "Captain Webb, your weapons technology is far beyond anything we've encountered. Are you a military empire? Should we be concerned about your intentions?" The comm channel was quiet for a long moment before Webb's laughter came through, warm and genuine. "Captain, if we were a military empire, do you think we would have responded to a distress call from complete strangers? Earth has been attacked by aggressive species before. We learned to defend ourselves out of necessity, not conquest." Commander Vale's voice could be heard in the background. "Sir, we're receiving additional transmissions. It appears other vessels are responding to the original distress call. More rescuers?" Vyra asked hopefully. Looks like it, Webb confirmed. Seems like your call for help reached more people than just us. Though I have to say, you folks took a big risk broadcasting in the open like that. This region of space isn't exactly known for its friendly neighbors. Lieutenant Jorik, who had been monitoring their systems, looked up with concern. Captain Kessian, we're detecting incoming ships, 3 vessels, configuration matches, collective patrol cruisers. A new voice crackled over the comm, authoritative, and slightly mechanical due to translation protocols. This is Fleet Commander Zarian of the Zephyrian Collective, responding to distress beacon from research vessel Stellar Dawn. Identify yourselves, unknown vessels. Webb's response was diplomatic but firm. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. We responded to a civilian distress call and eliminated the hostile forces that were attacking the research vessel. The area is now secure. Earth Defense Force? Commander Zarian's voice carried notes of suspicion and curiosity. We have no records of this organization or your species. Please maintain position while we assess the situation, Dr. Oralvis whispered urgently to Vira. Captain, the humans saved our lives. Whatever the fleet commander's concerns, we owe them our survival. Vira nodded, then activated her comm. Fleet Commander Zarian, this is Captain Kessian. The human vessels responded to our distress call and eliminated 7 raider ships that were attempting to board us. Without their intervention, my crew and our research would have been lost. The collective ships approached cautiously, their sensors undoubtedly analyzing the debris field and the massive human warships. After several minutes, Commander Zarian's voice returned. Captain Webb, on behalf of the Zephyrian Collective, I extend our gratitude for your assistance to our research vessel. However, I must ask about your weapons capabilities. The complete destruction of 7 raider vessels in such a short time frame is unprecedented. Commander, Webb replied carefully, humanity has learned that sometimes peace can only be maintained through strength. We've had to defend ourselves against aggressive species in the past, but we use that strength to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Your species. Commander Zarian paused, and when he continued, his voice carried a note of realization. You evolved on a Deathworld, didn't you? The term sent a chill through the Stellar Dawn's bridge crew. Deathworlders were legendary, species that evolved on planets so harsh that their inhabitants became natural warriors. Most civilized species avoided Deathworlder territories entirely. We prefer the term high-gravity, high-predation environment, Webb replied with what sounded like amusement. But yes, Earth isn't exactly a garden world. Makes us appreciate peaceful species like yourselves all the more. Dr. Oralvis leaned forward eagerly. Captain Webb, would your people be interested in cultural exchange? Your intervention today suggests that humans might be valuable allies for peaceful research missions. I think that's above my pay grade. Doctor, Webb chuckled. But I can say that Earth is always interested in meeting new friends, especially ones doing the kind of important scientific work you're conducting. Commander Zarian's voice cut in. Captain Webb, I am authorized to extend an invitation for formal diplomatic contact between our species. The collective would be honored to establish relations with any species that places such value on protecting civilian researchers. As the 3 groups of ships hung in space, human warships, collective patrol cruisers, and the damaged but saved research vessel, Vira realized they were witnessing a historic moment. The rescue had become something much larger, first contact between 2 civilizations born from an act of selfless heroism. Captain Webb, she said softly, thank you. Not just for saving us, but for showing us that there are still people in the galaxy who will risk everything to help strangers. Captain Kessian, Webb replied, that's what being human means. When someone calls for help, you answer. Simple as that. And in that moment, as human and Zephyrian vessels began coordinating their return to safer space, the galaxy became a slightly smaller, friendlier place. The rescue of the Stellar Dawn would be remembered not just as a military victory, but as the moment when humanity announced itself as a protector of the peaceful and innocent among the stars.